Even if today I'm not in Tsavo, wherever I'll be, I'll always be protecting the wildlife.
Africa, the cradle of life itself, a cosmos of infinite possibility, and the open window to our world. Stretching over 30 million square kilometers, the continent is home to 1.3 billion people and an estimated 1 million species of animals. This includes both the heaviest and tallest land animals on Earth, among many, many others. With such an abundance of irreplaceable wildlife, rich heritages and cultures, and essential habitats and fragile ecosystems, the question remains, what can we as people do to protect it?
We're Ben and Kira, two filmmakers travelling the world seeking to amplify the voices of extraordinary people who are devoting their lives to making the world a greener place.
Here, in the Tsavo Conservation Area, protecting the inhabitants of Kenya's largest national park is no simple task. The conservation area, made up of Tsavo East and Tsavo West national parks, is roughly the size of Switzerland and includes nearly half of Kenya's total protected area. Tsavo's open plains, dense bush, swamps, forests, and rivers offer sanctuary to Kenya's single largest population of elephants, rhinos, lions, giraffes, zebras, over 600 species of birds, and so much more.
Across the continent, an estimated 40,000 men and women are on the front lines of conservation efforts, combating illegal poaching, protecting wildlife, and educating the public. The park is also home to one of the animal kingdom's rarest members. Known as big tuskers, these elephants have tusks so large they sweep the ground as they walk, weighing over 100 pounds or 45 kilograms on each side. Alongside being a natural rarity, big tuskers are under constant threat from poachers supplying the illegal ivory trade. This combination means that only 25 big tuskers are known to be left in the world, and Tsavo Conservation Area houses the majority of them. With such an abundance of life and concentrated biodiversity, Tsavo's key challenges include ensuring the security of the park's borders and the safety of the wildlife within. To accomplish this, the Kenya Wildlife Service, or KWS, and their partners work alongside Tsavo Trust's 9 highly trained wildlife ranger Tembo teams. Tembo is Swahili for elephant, and Tsavo Trust is an organisation that works directly in the field to protect wildlife from both long-term and imminent threats, as well as empower local communities to be self-governing, community-led wildlife conservancies. For the next few days, we're here in Tsavo working with Tembo Team 3 to witness firsthand what it takes to be a wildlife ranger and train for the upcoming Wildlife Ranger Challenge.
Commanded by team leader Johnson Perkusa, Tembo Team 3 works around the clock in support of the KWS's ground protection operations, including wildlife monitoring and deterring poachers and bushmeat hunters with their permanent presence.
My name is Johnson Perkusa. I work with Tsavo Trust. I'm a ranger and I'm currently now the team leader for Tembo 3 mobile team.
The team of 7 is made up mostly of locals from the nearby Kamungi village, with the others originally from around the country. Despite their differences, maybe in upbringing or beliefs, the common thread that unites them all is their commitment to their work.
There is always one thing bringing us together. That is the course or the training we undergo, all of us together. through that course, that is where we learn to unity. You have to train hard. Even their motto says, train hard, fight easy. Actually, I trained my very hard and I became the best all-round ranger at 2018.
This morning, we're heading out on patrol with the team to monitor 5 kilometres of their coverage area on foot. To pinpoint their starting location and keep in contact with other nearby Tembo teams, we geared up, filled up, and planned our route through miles of the Tsavo bush, where the only roads are elephant paths.
We are completely surrounded by quiet. Only hearing the snap of twigs beneath our boots, the squawks of nearby birds, and the hushed plans of the rangers as they examine the ground for tracks. When out in a large group, it's easy to forget the possibility of what lurks in the bush. Dense thickets with spiky limbs, enormous baobab trees reaching into the sky, and an endless sea of red dust stretches for what feels like forever. Within 10 minutes, Johnson and the team spot a track they know all too well. Human, and very recent. As the team splits to search for the possible direction of what they believe to be a bushmeat hunter, we are all on high alert for any movement or sound that could indicate human life nearby.
According to Johnson, the look and shape of the track indicates that the person was running from something. Had they heard us coming, or was it something else? Ranger Stephen hears something. He whistles to notify the rest of his team, and at the drop of a hat, the pursuit is on. For our safety, we were advised to keep our distance with one of the KWS Rangers, while the rest of the Tembo Team 3 investigated. After a few kilometres, the Rangers notified us that they lost sight of the possible hunter's trail. But having logged the coordinates of where the tracks were spotted into the team's GPS, this area is to be closely monitored over the next few days.
Bushmeat hunters are those that hunt and sell wild animals for profit. The animals are not caught to be eaten by families or villages, but are seen rather as an easy, albeit risky, means of income. Small animals that are easy for one person to carry are the most at risk. In Tsavo, this includes monkeys, dik-diks, and other small species of antelopes. After rejoining one of the roads that intersects the park, we're now headed out on vehicle patrol. Vehicle patrol is essential for ranger teams to be able to get close enough to wildlife to monitor their numbers and assess them for any injuries, while still ensuring that both the ranger and animal safety is prioritized. Today, we encountered a herd of Tsavo's famous Red Bull elephants. Typically, after bathing or drinking, elephants spray themselves with Tsavo's plentiful reddish-orange, mineral-rich dust, which protects their skin from the harsh elements. Bushmeat hunters and poachers are not the only threat to wildlife in Tsavo, however. Climate change, echoed by soaring temperatures, decreased rainfall, drought, and biodiversity loss, continue to threaten the complete extinction of both large and small species.
You know, here in Tsavo, it's a semi-arid place. So actually, it's affecting a lot of wildlife. Even if you take a map of Tsavo West, we have only a few water holes. So you see now, like animals from the further end of the Tsavo National Park, they lack water. And actually, they have to travel long distances just because of waters. So that's climatic changes. There is also bushfires. Actually, in 2020, I think we experienced most of the parts in Tsavo. They got burnt. So actually, regaining that fertility of land, it will take quite some time.
Back at the team's barracks, we're understanding more and more why the men of Tembo Team 3 do what they do. Just take a look at this shrub, the branches and foliage of which a small animal like a dik-dik or gerenuk would live off of. But look a little closer, and you'll see the type of deadly snares that poachers and bushmeat hunters set to catch their prey. A simple piece of wire is all that it takes for an animal to lose this fight. And it is not only small animals which fall victim to these simple snares. Johnson informed us that poachers will often hang them high in trees to catch large animals like giraffes, or slightly lower to catch medium-sized animals such as buffalo.
Why are we protecting? If we don't protect the endangered species, actually it will end up, we'll be watching just on TVs or through magazines. It will go to an extinction.
Without wildlife rangers, the impact of humans on wildlife would be even greater, especially in remote areas like Tsavo. But Tsavo Tembo teams can't do it alone and value the support and insight of local communities in their work.
Today, we're visiting the Kamungi Conservancy, a community that borders the north of Tsavo West and acts as a crucial buffer to the protected areas, while also working toward fostering a culture of conservation and generating economic opportunities for the Wakamba people. The Community Conservancy model has been noted to be one of the most effective conservation initiatives in Kenya since the creation of the country's national parks in the 1940s. This morning, we met with Mofat, the community officer at Tsavo Trust, who works with the Kamungi Conservancy to establish educational programs for its residents and gets the locals involved in its new initiatives.
So Kamungi Conservancy is a community conservancy that was started way back in 2013 by Tsavo Trust. The conservancy is made up of a total of 140 households, whereby community members have come together with the main objective being to protect and conserve wildlife. Through the partnership between Tsavo Trust and Kamungi Conservancy, a number of projects have been implemented. And here where we are is now the Ngiluni water tank. So through this water project, we have come up with another project that we are calling the permaculture project. The main purpose of this permaculture project is to improve the food security situation within Kamungi Conservancy.
With its location on the border of the park, generations of residents whose primary income comes from agriculture suffered at the hands of wildlife like elephants, antelope, and lions wandering onto their properties and eating their crops or livestock. This, coupled with residents' unexpected and often life-threatening encounters with local wildlife, over time fostered understandable fear and animosity among the community members.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Mtonga Mua na mimi ni member wa Kamungi Conservancy. Kuanzia mwaka 2015 kulikuwa ndovu mingi na walikuwa wanaingia kwa shamba, tukilima tunakuta hakuna chakula. Utaweza kuamka siku moja ukute hakuna kwa hiyo kitu, na walikuwa yani unapakisha kama siku kama miezi 2 ufune nakuta yote imekuliwa.
To combat this, one of Mofat, the Rangers and Tsavo Trust's key responsibilities includes educating the community on what can be done to ensure both their protection and the protection of local wildlife. In using a proven method by Dr. Lucy King of Save the Elephants, Tsavo Trust and its team were able to put in place a simple yet ingenious invention to keep farmland safe and wildlife at bay, using bees.
Here in Kamungi, we have a beehive fence project. African elephants, they fear honeybees. So she came up with beehive fences as a way to mitigate a human-elephant conflict.
Mimi ndio mtu wa kwanza wa kuwekewa hii mizinga kwa sababu ndovu ilikuwa mingi. Ikaingia hivi, ikaenda kwa niani kwa majirani yangu. Ikawa sasa aziingii. Sikia yani kikaribia mizinga inarudi.
The beehive fences have played a key role in allowing both humans and wildlife to coexist in the Kamungi area. but are also contributing to the self-sufficiency that the conservancy model aims to create. The bees in the fences pollinate the farmers' fields and also produce honey for the local community to sell in small quantities for profit.
To add on the beehive project, recently we did a honey processing room, this one, the one that you are seeing here, and also we use this place to train community members on honey processing. Now the community members started now valuing wildlife, and that was made possible through tangible benefits. We can't achieve sustainable conservation without engaging the local communities. We can't.
In addition to the physical changes the community members are experiencing, one of the most impactful aspects of being a conservancy is the active involvement of Tembo Team 3 in education and protection for all ages.
Being from the local community, one of their main role is being conservation champion, whereby now having undergone the training and understanding the benefits of wildlife conservation, they now spread the message of wildlife conservation to their fellow community members. They normally check into schools, and some of these rangers, they are alumni of these schools. They are known to the schools, and they normally visit the schools as a way of nurturing young conservation champions. And that has worked very well, because when these local communities, when they see one of their own being in frontline in the protection of wildlife, it helps to win their support.
The trusted members of the Kamungi Conservancy leadership work closely with the rangers too. This ensures that all members of the community feel that their concerns, questions, and beliefs are being taken into account.
My name's Dominic Mutua Moya. Through Kamungi Conservancy, we usually have monthly meetings, and we usually choose one of them to come and talk to our people, and then they create awareness, and then they also share how much they are trying to help the community to solve the issue of human-wildlife conflict. They educate us on the community to see wildlife as an asset, not something just to distract, but something we need to take care for the future, as it's the only heritage we have inherited from our forefathers.
Although Tembo Team 3 is made up of all men, mostly from the local community, a shared belief of many Kamungi residents is that the future is the active involvement of women.
And then we involve the ladies, not only, within our community it's only men. So the ladies are also feeling that we need also to be part of the rangers serving our community.
And many women and girls across the community have already shown immense interest.
Majina yangu ni Veronica Wausimbidhi. I'm a member of Kamungi, village ya Kamunyo. What I can say to our Tsavo Trust rangers is that they are doing a very good job. In fact, when you call them when there is a wildlife conflict, they do respond quickly. That is the first thing. We as community, we have improved due to employment of these rangers. Just because when there is insecurity in the community, the rangers, most of them, they are very comfortable with their job. When you call them, they do respond quickly, and they do their job with pleasure. Yeah.
Do you want to maybe one day become a ranger or train to be a ranger?
Yeah, that's my prayer.
As a team of only 7, a large part of the team's ability to be the eyes and ears of this part of Tsavo National Park relies on the help from community members who may see or hear things that the rangers may not. In a scout program of sorts, community members can easily get in contact with rangers for a number of reasons.
In case wanaweza kufunja waya tu wakiingia, tukiwaharibu tukawapigia report wanakuja haraka.
Lakini wamefanya kazi nzuri. haiwezi pata waya. Kama ni waya, labda watu wengine waweke, lakini si watu wa area.
Na watu wengine walikuwa wanatoka huko mbali, pengine wanakuja wanaweka waya, wanateka wanyama. Mambo ya kukula wanyama, mambo sasa imeisha. Kwa maana si unajua kwa njia nyingine mimi yani nawategemea, wanategemea mimi na pia yani nategemea hao. Ngiwa na shida wananiokoa. Nawe pengine nitaweza kuona mtu mbaya, nawe pia yani niwaitie. Si unaona sasa hapo naye yani niwasaidia.
Whether looking to avoid human-wildlife conflict or to provide rangers with information of a poacher or bushmeat hunter nearby entering the park, the people certainly feel that this joint effort is making a difference. But there is still a long way to go. The job of rangers today is not possible without the support of the community, and many members are willing and ready to do so. However, Johnson knows that some of the team's greatest challenges still lie ahead.
Actually, in old days, being a ranger, you're only entitled to protecting and conserving. But as day by day, things have changed. Nowadays, we do protection, we do monitoring and research at the same time. We do what we call community conservation education, creating an awareness outside the parks, that is to the local communities. And that is by just getting the local communities to understand the importance of this thing we are protecting. So it isn't a simple task. In fact, some of them will just reject you, and maybe in cases where there is a human-wildlife conflict, it becomes very, very hard to convince and try to bring awareness to those persons. But actually, we are doing quite a good role through conservation education, that is, teaching them about the benefit of this wildlife in Kenya.
This struggle, compared to recent years, is manageable, and the rangers are confident it can be overcome with time. In 2020, the work of rangers across the continent was brought to an abrupt halt when the COVID-19 pandemic struck. Thousands of rangers lost their jobs or experienced devastating salary and resource cuts. As a result, poaching and bushmeat hunting spiked. Despite these setbacks, the critical work of wildlife rangers was allowed to continue later in the year thanks to international support in the form of the Wildlife Ranger Challenge. In 2020, the Wildlife Ranger Challenge was organized by Tusk and its partners, the Game Rangers Association of Africa and Natural State. Tusk is an international organization supporting the work of wildlife rangers across Africa. The challenge was also financially supported by the Scheinberg Relief Fund, an organization founded in direct response to the COVID-19 pandemic to aid impacted individuals and communities.
Culminating in a 21-kilometre half marathon, ranger teams physically and mentally prepare for weeks in advance, running with 22 kilograms of equipment on their backs and participating in mini challenges to see who can do the most push-ups or sit-ups in 2 minutes. On race day in 2020, over 2,000 supporters from 80 countries ran in solidarity with 100 ranger teams located across Africa, raising $10 million, which included a generous match from the Scheinberg Relief Fund. In 2021, 125 teams raced, raising an additional $3 million, which also included a generous match from the Scheinberg Relief Fund. Tsavo's Tembo Team 3 has competed in the Wildlife Ranger Challenge for the past 2 years. What they didn't expect in doing so, though, was the outpouring of support and further admiration received from their families and communities, especially in Kamungi.
The community, when they heard about that challenge, they gather there, they cheer them when they are doing that.
And they came out in good numbers to support them, because we could see from when they are along the roads, we could see the community members cheering our rangers. And even this year, even before we knew the dates, from community meetings, community were asking, will we be having the same challenge like the one we had last year?
Training and preparations for this year's Wildlife Ranger Challenge are underway, and we're joining Tembo Team 3 to see how they physically prepare for such a grueling mental and physical workout.
This year, over 100 ranger teams from 15 African countries are gearing up to race to correct misconceptions on the role of rangers and to support the development of the ranger profession across the continent. Race Day will coincide with the African Ranger Congress taking place in Botswana, at which Tusk and its partners intend to bring together delegates to take part in the challenge. The Scheinberg Relief Fund has again generously committed to matching donations up to $1 million, enabling the Wildlife Ranger Challenge to continue to have a tremendous impact. To learn more, sign up to Race in Solidarity, or donate, please visit wildliferangerchallenge.org.
I can guarantee you that 100% Tsavo is secured. Actually, this is the largest conservation we have in Kenya. As we are rangers, we are asking ourselves, how can you protect the whole of Tsavo? How can you protect the whole of Tsavo's wildlife inside the park and outside the park?
It's both the question that thousands of men and women across the continent ask themselves every day, and it's also one of the hardest to answer. With each new challenge these rangers may face, their work becomes more difficult, yet also more important than ever. Whether that's directly protecting wildlife from human interference, or working to offer long-term support to the local community, their love for their land and their people will forever unite them.
We are doing it because we love it, because it is our job. Even if today I'm not in Tsavo, wherever I'll be, I'll always be protecting the wildlife. I'm Johnson Paksa.
It's Morris Muloka.
Joshua Mamtunga, Frank Mugambi Mwenda,
Steven Siokasila.
Joshua Tabmoli. I'm a wildlife ranger.
The Rangers of Tsavo Trust are only a few of the thousands of wildlife rangers that Tusk and its partners support. As a key donor to the Tsavo Trust, the Nick Mon Foundation aids in Tusk's amplification of the impact of conservation initiatives across Africa, and is helping to tackle poaching, combat habitat loss, and limit human-wildlife conflict across the continent.
The foundation has also contributed over £1 million in donations over 5 years, sponsored the Tusk Lion Trail, an international street art exhibition that raised £1.1 million for conservation projects and spread awareness of the threats facing lions today, and funding of the Tusk Symposium in Kenya, at which leading conservationists gather from all over the world. Founded by British ESG investor and philanthropist Nick Mon, the foundation aims to further a range of philanthropic initiatives in education, the environment, and supporting empowered communities. The foundation also supports human-focused charities, including educational charity Christelle House in South Africa and Harpenden Spotlight on Africa, through which it funds medical facilities and schools in eastern Uganda. Going Green Media wholeheartedly thanks the Nick Mon Foundation, Tusk, and Tsavo Trust for their support in telling this important story.